Oh, right.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, and thank you for being here for such a special day here. Before we get started, I would like to open us up with prayer. So if we could bow our heads. Dear Lord, we come to you today to celebrate Christ Church School, our alumni, and especially our Hall of Fame inductees, their families, and friends. We ask that you protect them and let your light shine down on them. Remind us all that every blessing comes from you. We pray that we glorify you in all we do. Keep Christ Church School and our community in your favor. As we head into our second century, keep our community strong and safe. Let them forever feel and know the power of your glory. Thank you for your presence here today as we celebrate our Hall of Fame inductees. We ask this in the glorious name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. What an incredible weekend. The weather's beautiful. Thank you all for coming out for this special day. I'm not going to talk long. We got a couple or three very special inductees today. For some of you that haven't heard what's going on at Christ Church School, I'm going to give you the quick version. The reason why we have all these chairs in chapel, Christ Church School has 253 students enrolled this year. It is the highest enrollment this school has ever seen. We have, yeah, sure, that's where the flag is. We have, for the first time, 100 female students at Christ Church School. We've got 86 international students here representing 30 different countries. The momentum has been incredible and it feels good. Our local students, we've got 97 local students attending Christ Church School this year. And the momentum isn't just in the enrollment. Our momentum is in fundraising. For the last couple of years, we've raised over $1 million in our annual fund, thanks to support from everybody in this room. So I want you to know why we have all these chairs. Chapel during the week is packed. We have kids up here on the altar. We have kids in the balcony. The dining hall is packed. The truth is, we're probably busting at the seams. Maybe we're a little bigger than we should be, but my goodness, what a great place to be when the school is this full as we continue to grow the school. So just wanted to give you guys a little bit of that flavor. It is a really, really exciting time to be part of Christ Church School as we head forward into our second century. So thank you all for being here. It is a special day, special occasion for these inductees, and I'm going to hand this over to our 41st year of serving Christ Church School, Mr. Huntley Gallagher.
Thank you. Good morning. In 2002, the Christ Church School Athletic Hall of Fame Committee was founded by the current athletic director, Ed Homer, who spent 1 year in research and joined the first Hall of Fame committee and inducted his first induction class in the fall of 2003. 8 years later, after the first athletic inductions, in 2011, the Athletic Hall of Fame Committee decided 2 years of discussion that many should be recognized for their lifetime accomplishments and achievements throughout their life and career. Inducted, the first class of lifetime achievement was in 2011. The Hall of Fame Committee now has running nominations of well over 30 individuals that have been nominated and continue to be discussed and researched. Since the Hall of Fame inception, we have inducted 45 individuals in 2 athletic teams and athletic achievement category. Plus today, we will add one more to that. In 2011, since 2011, we have inducted 27 lifetime achievement and special recognition, and today we will add 2 individuals to this lifetime special recognition. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Eric Robinson Gray, who is our chairman of the Hall of Fame Committee. As you see in the back of your program, the members who selected this 3 today, they work diligently. They meet 3 or 4 times a year by Zoom and in person, and then they vote, and then they also do a strategic way in which it's not a good old boy network. They really do try to raise the bar to the highest level. But Erica Robinson, great.
As Huntley previously said, my name is Erica Gray, for those of you who do not know me. Christ Church Hall of Fame goal is to celebrate our history and accomplishments. The school has a rich history of competitive athletics and high achievements of our graduates. We will endeavor to recognize those men and women who have truly given of themselves while as a student and who have continued after Christ Church by achieving and accomplishing life challenges as well as making a mark on society and the people around them. I would also like to take a moment to explain the process and how we got to be here today. The Hall of Fame committee is comprised of 10 alumni members, 2 staff members, and a chairwoman or mayor. Every fall, committee members gather on campus and virtually compile a list of potential nominees to be considered for induction. Those considered nominees come from alumni, faculty and staff, parents, friends, and school recommendations. After this meeting, committee members research candidates by talking to candidates, their coaches, their friends, even old teachers, anyone who can provide supporting detail of why each potential candidate is worthy of being inducted into the Hall of Fame. To be considered for any of the awards that will be given today, which are athletic achievement, special recognition, and lifetime achievement, there has to be a write-up completed. Once all supporting documentation is compiled, the committee then reconvenes in the new year to discuss candidates and vote. To date, we have over 30 names that have been nominated. That is why write-ups are so important for the committee to induct. Since I was a committee member and now chair, we have evolved our voting process to ensure we are maintaining a high and fair standard of who is inducted, which in my opinion has made days like today even more special. Thoughtful, intentional consideration is the goal. I'm so proud of the work that has been done to get us here today to make this day happen. There's lots to do in the second century of the school, and everyone's help and input, most important write-ups, will be a big part of continuing to make the Hall of Fame a huge success. If for one moment I could take a moment to ask all members that are here today, and please stand and join in applause as I say thank you for your efforts. Now, with that being said, I would like to turn it over to the first presenter, George Morris, Class of 1982.
Thank you, Erica, and to Mr. Cole, our head of schools, to our distinguished alumni, families, and friends, fellow inductees into the Christ Church Hall of Fame. It is a pleasure to be with you on behalf of the Morris family. I have the pleasure of presenting a dear friend, Colonel Mark Vakos from the class of 1982, affectionately known to some of us as the Mojo Man. He's like a magician. There's a verse of scripture that reminds me of you. In the service you rendered. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. We live in an age of uncertainty in the world. It's estimated that there are between 50 and 120 ongoing armed conflicts happening around the world right now. Liberty and peace are therefore best maintained by preparedness. We sleep soundly in our beds because rough men stand ready in the night to visit violence on those who would do us harm. Frederick Kipling. A career in military service isn't for everyone. For the gallant few who answer the call to serve, they do so with a firm understanding of the many sacrifices they will have to endure, to include even their very lives while defending this country. A fine example of selfless service for the most noble in our society. As if risking your life every day in defense of others wasn't enough stress, imagine being commissioned as an intelligence officer, bestowed with one of our nation's highest clearance levels, and entrusted with the nation's most sensitive secrets. A job that prohibits you from sharing any information concerning your duties with anyone, to include your spouse, your family, your friends. How would you answer the question at the end of the day when your spouse asks, "So, what'd you do today, honey?" As you're called upon to perform your duties, at times, with little or no forewarning, you can't tell your spouse why you're leaving home in the middle of the night, where you're going, when you're coming back. You don't know if you're going to be able to communicate with your family while you're away or not. And when you finally do return, weeks, months, a year later, you can't share any of the details of your activities with anyone. Now imagine serving under those conditions for more than 3.5 decades. To be successful, the service member must possess unwavering physical and mental discipline, command of emotions, dogmatic devotion to duty, infallible integrity, and the endurance to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders every day. These are the silent heroes who humbly walk amongst us. And today, it is a great honor for me to reveal to you a fellow Seahorse alum that has lived such a life and accomplished countless achievements in the performance of his duties while serving admirably under these stressful conditions. So, committee members, head of schools, faculty, alums, distinguished guests, before I drag Mark Akos up here, I want to just give you a little bit more. He started his military service in 1989, and by the time he had finished, he had been decorated as a combat veteran who'd served and been awarded more than 53 medals for commendations, achievement, service, and performance that includes the Legion of Merit, 3 Bronze Stars, Defense Meritorious Service, 4 Army Meritorious Service Medals, 2 Joint Service Commendations, 6 Army Commendations, the Knowlton Award, Medal for Distinguished Intelligence Professionals, and numerous other achievements and campaign medals. And if that wasn't enough, he also got the Combat Action Badge, Airborne Jump Wings, and the coveted Army Staff ID Badge. Mark graduated, with more than 20 different training certifications, 2 master's degrees, and a degree in computer science. Among his credentials, and there are too many to name them all, but I would highlight cyber and intelligence support to cyber operations, planning, training, and execution. Strategic level intelligence operations to include serving directly under the Secretary of Defense for Intelligence and Security. He was a director of Army Open Source Intelligence Program, Director of Intelligence, Chief of Army Reserve, G2, and Joint Intelligence Program Manager, NATO. He served in campaigns in Panama, Iraq, Kosovo, Afghanistan. Mark is a subject matter expert in all sorts of intelligence and a specialist in operational art, strategic and operational plans, command, policy formation, joint concept development and experimentation, strategic intelligence, and the list could go on. Following his service, he continued to work as a defense contractor, and he is a certified program manager and business administrator, IT professional. Now, in concert with his lovely wife, Betsy, they own and operate their businesses, and Mark is aggressively engaged in real estate development, which he's quite passionate about. He's an accomplished leader He's been where the action is. And I've prayed for him many, many times, not knowing where he was. For example, when the Berlin Wall was coming down, I had no idea he was right there. Well, as you heard, there are numerous worthy accomplishments. As a Christ Church student, he was an athlete and a leader and a scholar, and a whole lot of fun to be around. And I'll leave you the way I began. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord, your God, will be with you wherever you go.
Amen.
Colonel Vakos, front and center. For Induction Year 2025, Christ Church recognizes Colonel Mark P. Vakos, class of '82. Since his graduation in 1982, Mark has been a constant and stellar cheerleader for Christ Church School in the class of 1982. Mark has achieved military excellence throughout his 25-year career in the United States Army. He served multiple tours of duty in combat as an Army intelligence officer. He was on the ground in the Middle East as he served the highest levels of military intelligence. He has been recognized with numerous medals and honors for bravery and leadership. He is a shining example of what Christ Church alumnus can contribute to our country. Christ Church School is honored to induct Mark into the Hall of Fame. And on behalf of Patrick St. Clair, who was a part of the initial nomination, and I joined him, we present this to you.
George is tall. So, committee members, faculty and staff, headmaster, distinguished visitors, and of course, the alumni that I have misbehaved with for many years. Please tell me that you don't actually believe any of that stuff. I mean, can you imagine me being in the military? So, the spring of 1982, those were the exact words that I said to Dan Nolan as we were having one of those sessions. That, kind of like that come to Jesus talk about, you got a plan for your future. And it was not just me or Dan, but all of us had to go through this thing because the intent was, you don't want to be that shit without a rudder and let nature, decide your fate. Plan it. If you have some great expectation that you want to achieve, then you do it. But it's done and planned, right? So Dan was, and may he rest in peace, Dan was a magnificent person. He, in every way. And he was right there beside, and atypical with all the faculty here at Christ Church. There wasn't a 40-hour week. They were here all day, every day, 24/7, 365. And they would go way beyond, what they were expected to do and their duties to make sure that every single student was capable and heading in the right direction to be, I use an Army expression, all they can be. But that was the truth. I remember being here 2 months, and Pope, and I miss Pope. In fact, as I walked in here, I'm like, where's Pope? And for those of you who know who Pope was, he was the chaplain here before. But Pope was unique, and he would take us places and let us misbehave a little bit. But he was that person who could get through to the hardest of the students. Every once in a while, you get that small percentage of folks that maybe they got some issues or whatever, and it's hard to reach them and really communicate with them. He was that guy that could breach those barriers So there was nothing that could stop anyone who attended Christ Church from achieving their greatness. And I gotta say, I've never been anywhere where the people, the faculty and staff were so dedicated. It was amazing. I've been very fortunate as I got into college. I too had some great mentors. And as I foolishly went into the military, because Dan was right, because he, Dan was the one who recommended that, he said, Mark, I think you'd be consider it, just put it on the list. Because we were trying to get to that short list, right? And I don't want to share everything. So at this point, I had not been taken very seriously. And so Dan was, kind of firm. And so he says, Mark, come on now. And I said, that's when I said, Dan, can you imagine you'd be out of the military? Now, in classic Dan Nolan style, he says to me, Mark, and he had his piercing blue eyes, Mark, this lacrosse stick is categorized as a multi-function sporting equipment. Now, for those of you who don't speak Dan Nolan, let me translate. That means you're going to need a shoehorn and probably some pliers and a few other tools for your toolbox to get his lacrosse stick out of your rear end. So it is funny because every time I think of Dan Nolan, he had that lacrosse stick, and it was used mostly to smack you upside the head sometimes. But he always had some piece of sport equipment, and he was always motivating everyone, as was the rest of the staff, the faculty and staff. I'd never seen anything like it. But it was due to their efforts with me that really allowed me, enabled me, made me see the future, gave me the confidence to do it. And again, as I went through college and everything into the military, I was, again, fortunate with great mentors. Well, maybe there are some truths to some of the stuff that George said. And let me just say this, as an intelligence person, I was very curious as I went in. And this is the first time in my entire life I have ever truly admitted what I did for the government in an open forum. Because you didn't do that, right? It was, depending on the situation, that could be treason, right? So you never admitted that you worked as an intelligence operative for the government. And, you have the DNI, which you hear about on duty, has the CIA, and you have the Undersecretary for Intelligence, who has all the others, NSA, right? So one has to support the other, and neither one of them can really get everything that they need done without each other. So they co-share that intelligence asset, the whole kit. I'm just trying to summarize here. And then they answer to Congress, the intelligence committees, and those kinds of things. So working at that level, I consider it a great honor, because I made it all the way to the very top, the very tip of the spear. And I really enjoyed it. And maybe I'll go back. But as I was departing, he made me promise that I would do some things down that way. Because I live in Cocoa Beach, Merritt Island, which is the middle island of Cocoa Beach. And right there is NASA, right? And a couple of the other space agencies. And my wife and I enjoy watching the rockets go up and whatnot. But there's a lot of opportunity there. I'm not entirely sure what he had in mind for me there, but he said he's got plenty of work for me. So I've been avoiding his calls. So anyway, I don't know that, and this is going to sound a little funny, but I just did my job. Really. I don't know that I deserve this, because when you think of it in that way, it makes mixed emotions, let me just say it that way. But thank you. Thank you all.
The next presenter will be Stephen Flair, former faculty and coach and founder of Matt Flair, class of 2008.
First of all, I'd like to express my gratitude to the school, Billy Coyle, Director of Development, Huntley Geller, as well as Micah, Erica, and Libby, and the entire Hall of Fame selection committee. This is a special place, a truly special place. Not just the chapel, but the campus, the Rappahannock River, the town, Rosegill, Urbana Creek, and the people. The reason we're here today is to recognize and honor three people: to induct Mark, Don, and Matt to the Christ Church School Hall of Fame. However, before I get to the primary reason I stand here to lectern, I'd like to take a moment to recognize, remember, and honor some other people. Faculty members and administrators: Molly, Will, Jennifer, Ed, Kim, Donnie, Jill, Lori, Sarah, Robin, Matt, Scott, and Jeb. Teammates: Kyle, Megan, Martin, Jamie, Walker, and Ryan. As well as dear friends, Banks, Joe, Cody, and Jody. Every single person mentioned, and countless others, had positive and meaningful impact on Matt's life. Each invested their time, shared their wisdom, provided guidance, and helped prepare him for the challenges he undertook and the places he went after graduation. It truly takes a village. I see a number of you here today. Thank you for attending. Matt grew up with Rome. The boathouse was his second home. The athletes were his older siblings and cousins. His childhood included riding and coaching lunches, riding shotgun in the truck, towing the trailer, towing the shelter, and attending races up and down the East Coast, out west at the San Diego Crew Classic, across the Atlantic, to the Henley Royal Regatta. As a result of all of this, he learned some great life lessons. I felt it would only be natural for Matt to join the Christ Church team and learn even more. Fortunately, he saw the light and made his way to the boathouse at Roseville. As a rowing coach, I've always felt that the best part of the day was the privilege of spending 2 or 3 hours each afternoon on the water with the athletes in the shells. At Christ Church, it got exponentially better when one of the athletes was my son. Matt learned how to row as a sophomore. He sat in the middle of the boat and learned some great lessons while following his more experienced teammates. In the sport of rowing, all of the athletes are equal. They are in the same boat. However, there are different qualities and skills that are required of athletes to sit in certain seats within the boat. The stroke seat is one such position. A quality stroke must be incredibly fit and very consistent. The human metronome. The stroke must establish an easy rhythm for the crew to follow. This is incredibly hard to do well. It's about sacrificing for the betterment of the crew. The best strokes always give credit to the crew when things go well and take on the responsibility from the crew when things don't work out. There are 3 words that come to mind when describing the perfect stroke: sacrifice, service, and humility. As a junior, Matt moved into the stroke seat. The first boat had a fair amount of success during his final 2 years. Twice medaled at the Virginia State Championship and competed in the finals of the Scholastic National Championship. During this period, he was named the team MVP for every season and named and honored as the male athlete of the year as a senior. In the classroom, Matt was consistently on the dean's and headmaster's lists and was a member of the National Honor Society. After graduation, there were plenty of stops. In the summer of 2007, Matt stroked the U.S. crew at the Under-19 World Championships in Beijing, China. He attended the Kent School for a PG year and again sat in the stroke seat and was named the MVP. He spent the next 4 years at the Naval Academy. Like all first-year rowers there, he spent a year in the freshman A. During his final 3 years, he was a mainstay in the first varsity. For 4 years, he was in the stroke seat for every single race. The team was ranked as high as 5th nationally, and he was twice honored as the team MVP. Only the 4th person to ever be recognized for that honor twice. His chosen path after graduation and commissioning was to become a surface warfare officer. He served for 7 years. His first stop was on the USS Ingraham. He completed his SWO qualifications and served as a division officer in 4 different areas during his 2.5 years on the ship, which included a lengthy deployment in the Pacific. Next up, he was with the Cobra Marines. While in the UAE, they provided escorts for all U.S. and partner ships passing through the Gulf of Oman and the Strait of Hormuz. Additionally, they oversaw security for the port of Fujairah. Finally, for a shore tour at the Naval Academy, he taught seamanship and navigation and was the OREP, the officer rep for the heavyweight crew. After separating from the Navy, Matt worked in Washington, D.C. for a little bit, and then he saw the light. He became a rowing coach. He was assistant coach at Navy for 3 years, and then spent 2 years at Yale in a similar role. He returned to the Academy in 2024 as the associate head coach, and 4 months ago he was named the head coach of heavy rowing at the United States Naval Academy. The aforementioned traits of a great stroke, sacrifice, service, and humility, are also traits necessary to be a great leader and officer. These are the traits that will make him a phenomenal coach and the absolute best person to lead the heavyweight rowing program at Navy. While I was here, I had a few names: Dad and Coach. The audience, the setting, or the topic determined the title. And now it's Dad, Steve, or Coach, also driven by the audience and the topic. But in a complete role reversal, he now has 2 names: Matt and Coach. Again, driven by the setting. The saying goes, your father is the only man who has ever wanted you to be better than him. Standing here this morning, I can without a doubt tell you that Matt has eclipsed me in every facet. And I could be I could not be happier to admit this, or more proud of the man he is today. It is my honor to introduce my son, Matt Ford, to this group. Christchurch School Hall of Fame Athletic Achievement. Induction year 2025. Christchurch School recognizes Matthew J. Floor, class of 07. Matt was a 3-year student leader, member of the National Honor Society, and headmaster's list student. He competed each season in rowing. He was a 6-time team MVP, won several Virginia State and National Championship awards. As a senior, he was voted Male Athlete of the Year. Matt went on to the collegiate level and won the MVP both as a junior and a senior at the United States Naval Academy, where he was team captain. Matt's achievements in the sport of rowing as both an athlete and coach at the United States Naval Academy exemplify a career defined by excellence and leadership. Christchurch School is honored to induct Matt into the Hall of Fame.
I do not enjoy this moment, but it was It's pretty special to be back. I haven't had an opportunity to be back much. And it's funny to kind of hear him talk about being dean list and headmaster's list, and a lot of the people he thanked are the only reason I'm on those lists. It's fun. Molly, I see her right there. It's been so long, but it's people like you. That's the only reason I really made it through here and was able to go on and do what I did. But when I really reflect back on my time at Christ Church, it was just the perfect place for what I needed at the time. And we moved here because of a lot of different reasons, and this place gave me gave me a community. And I remember the first time showing up, Mrs. Schroeder picked me up from the airport because you had kidney stones, and but I felt like I immediately knew her, and it was only 1 minute of meeting her, and the Homers and the Byers and everyone. It just immediately was family, and that was something that was very much needed at the time. And the real lesson that I take away from Christ Church my time here was that hard work can get you most places. And that's how I fell in love with rowing. And there's a quote that my dad loves quotes, and he put them around the barn down there in Rosegill, and one of them was, in rowing, it's not the talented person that perseveres, it's the hardest working person that perseveres. And for some reason that just struck a real chord with me, and that's, I think, when I fell in love, and I could do that. I was never going to be on the football team or on the basketball team here. I lacked that hand-eye coordination that is quite necessary. But I think I could go for a long time, and rowing rewards that. So that's what I've taken from here most is hard work. I came in here with not really knowing what I was going to do with my life, and working hard here in this environment with the family opened up so many doors. And it's exciting to hear that over 200 people in the class, and knowing that they're getting that same opportunity, hopefully, and can really make something of themselves. But I would not be here if it weren't for the Christ Church community and a lot of people in this room. And just, putting up with me being a faculty kid, skateboarding around and climbing on roofs and doing stuff we shouldn't have been doing, but realizing that we needed that space to learn and grow. So I appreciate this, and I'll honor this, and I need to make my way back now, that's for sure. So I'll do my best, but thank you so much.
Congratulations again, Matt. Next presenter is Ed Homer, teacher, coach at Christ Church.
Good morning. This is Christ Church Royalty. I wasn't ready for all these faces that come, but I was especially struck with mention of Pope Gregory. He was on his way to retirement and was, in fact, I guess, just retired when I arrived. And I thought it was really sweet. I was a damn Yankee, and he wasn't afraid to tell me that. And he said, because I'm a damn Yankee too. But the generations of Christ Church families and people and leaders that through their relationships and their relatives are here. And just the idea that there was a Hall of Fame comes from originally from a sit on the back porch at Cliff's house. Cliff and Muffin were down on the water. Another Christ Church family lives there now, but at the end of every reunion, as you go back in the old days, that Cliff put on put on a show, and so it was a lot of work, and as a young faculty member, my wife and I were, we're all in. This is what you do, you're all in. So every day at school and on duty and coaching on 3 seasons at that time, and all the students you had, and living on a dormitory, that's kind of what you sign up for. And Cliff said, you know, one day we're going to do this thing where we're going to have a Hall of Fame, and someday we're going to get there, and we're going to do this. And so I got the opportunity when Cliff passed. Let's do it. Anyhow, all right, so this is for Dawn. I'm honored to be here. I have some remarks, but I'm going to start with the plaque. Dawn has been a basketball coach at Christ Church School for more than 36 years, with decades of winning teams, numerous championships. He's a legendary local sports icon and Middlesex County friend and neighbor. Dawn coached and officiated basketball and baseball for the youth in our community, including Christ Church faculty and staff children. Dawn has pursued an admirable path of assisting others, both personally and professionally. He extends a helping hand to those who need it. His successes reflect proudly on Christ Church School, and we are honored to induct Dawn into the Hall of Fame. I usually write it down because I can tend to ramble. Good morning, everybody. My name's Ed Homer. I've been here for a little while, coaching and teaching and living on the dorm with my wife, and we raised our son here, and it was a great place to raise a kid. I'm honored to be with you this morning to celebrate the contributions of my friend and my colleague, Don Harris, and to introduce him as a member of the Christ Church School Hall of Fame. I am really excited to see the old friends and the legendary Christ Church coaches. I didn't know Butch was here, and Butch is here. It's just tremendous. Steve Floyd, Ben Thompson, all of you who are out there who have coached on the sidelines and on the benches of Christ Church School, on the water, all that you've done for all the kids, thank you so much, and thanks for being here. Cliff would be honored. I know Steve's pride, crazy. That's a great family. So, in preparing to ask Don to step forward, I'm going to speak briefly about 2 lessons that I learned here at Christ Church School, that Don helped me learn at Christ Church School. So today is my 12,073rd day living and working at Christ Church School. It's been a wonderful ride. Don Harris has served the students of CCS 5 years. He served 5 years before I ever got here. So imagine the number of days he has stamina. Out there on the pews, I wish that I had made more. I didn't know there would be this kind of crowd, but there are cards. Some of you have cards. I put them all on the benches. But I took this 2-sided card as the basketball banners in the gym. And when I was part of the nomination process for Don, it's way beyond time. It should have happened before. But anyway, I said, well, I have to get stats together, and I have to get people that will, write the letter of recommendation to the selection committee. That wasn't hard. None of it was easy. But when it came to the stats, that's something that the Hall of Fame has really kind of emerged with that. Because at the beginning, they didn't have stats because it was, 40 years before or more. And so there's not a collection of statistics. Well, this is easy. If you look at the banners in that gymnasium, it's crazy. So what I did is, in talking to Don, we figured that it was about 87 when Butch Keller, Hall of Famer Butch Keller, said, come on and join us. And so I went to the banners, and you can see it. It's crazy. These are not very large, they're not fancy, and they're homemade. They're also durable, informative, and important. They are resistant to smears, and they won't shrivel up in a storm. Wait a minute, that's Don Harris. So here are these 2 lessons. Nice work. Lesson 1, to serve is to lead. Lesson 2, what you do speaks so loudly, I can't hear what you say. Serve to lead. When you go to work and you get paid, you've done your job. When you give all your free time, your whole body and your soul to your community, you serve. I was fortunate and honored during my career to gain some recognition as a coach. I learned volumes from strong women and generous men. Like any coach, I stole most everything I know about coaching from other coaches. About 20 years ago, George Morris, class of '82, handed me his business card. It read, servant leader. It was then I found the label that I needed to identify the people that I looked up to. So, looking back at 35 years as a head coach, I can say with unwavering confidence, if you don't serve, you can't really lead. Sadly, too many times this is missed nowadays. Don Harris and I have never discussed this. I did not tell him I would say this. He is the model of servant. So, I don't know much, but I do know about coaching high school kids, and I know how Christ Church School works. For more than 38 years, Don Harris has been in Yarborough Gym serving and leading at Christ Church. Back to those cards. Just look, it's two-sided. Coach Harris has been part of so many incredible teams. For his supporting testimony, I could go to anyone over the entire time I've been here and beyond. Besides coaching legends like Butch Keller and Glenn Taylor, Ben Thompson, I mention that they did these things. All these guys did these things. But Don's always been there. Some head coaches come and some head coaches go, and he's been here. So I got in touch with Martez. Martez Washington was a football, basketball captain and a tremendous leader here. And I got in touch with Karan Williams. He's a current member of the United States Secret Service, former major college star, played professionally. They could not say enough about Coach Harris's support and his knowledge of the game. There are basketball records and milestones going back to the 80s, and so this card, I just cut it off. There were several before 1988, but look at what happened since 1988. Almost every accomplishment you see on the banners in Yarborough Gymnasium involved Don. I dare say few of them would have been there without him. As much as my time coaching here seems like a lifetime, Don has me beat by a mile. Don's service to our school and our kids is amazing. Here's the kicker. He does not work here, so he does not receive a paycheck. I have never, ever heard him ever complain once, ever, or let anyone down. Don is among the best servant leaders I've met. Second lesson, what you do speaks so loud I can't hear what you say. I use that a lot in football, a lot. Almost 20 years ago, William and Mary head football coach Mark London, at the time he was at UVA as a defensive coordinator, he handed me this gem. It was up on the wall when I had one of my kids visiting in a recruiting trip. And as a defensive coordinator, he was also hype. And if you know Coach London, he's very good at touching your emotion and getting you excited. I thought this summed up what kids need to know when you're trying to reach your hard goals. When you really want to do it, you just got to do it. You can't talk about it. And what Don has done since he joined Hall of Famer Butch Keller at the bench in Yarborough in 1988 speaks so loudly, there's nothing I can say that could touch it. I laminated this so you could see it for yourself. Don Harris is a local service legend besides being a Christ Church legend. He is a member of the Board of Supervisors, but who knows how long he has officiated youth and scholastic basketball and baseball. Can you imagine the sheer number of games that he's been a part of? I couldn't figure out how to figure it out, so I didn't. Whether as a member of the Board of Supervisors, umpiring baseball at CCS throughout the region, officiating youth basketball, as a husband and a father and a CCS parent and a Hall of Fame basketball coach. He's a role model. So for Catherine and for Pete and for Ann and for your entire family, what Don speaks so loud, what Don does speak so loudly, I could humbly say only this. Let us welcome him to the Christ Church School Hall of Fame. Thank you.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here. Especially thanks to my family, friends. I have some players in the gallery, some coaches, and it's wonderful to see everybody for sure. Bear with me a minute. All right. Thank you, Mr. Homer, for that nice delivery. I appreciate that. I'm not sure I need to say anything. And I've been friends with Jennifer for many, many, many years. And for a while here, you had to play multi-sports when you came here. So at the time that I came to this school, to Christ Church, soccer and football were the main two sports here. So Ed and I spent a lot of time at times talking about who we get next year. Because most of the time it was the players that came to play basketball also played football and were very good at that. So him and I have been together. So when I was asked by Huntley, well, who do you want to nominate or do your presentation? And I had several people in mind, but I said, really, hands down, it's Ed Homer, because him and I have probably been here the longest of any coaches ever at the school, and I would like him to do the presenting. So thank you again very much for that. In my family, there's a side joke. Of course, my wife don't like it, and that is, our marriage is temporarily on hold during the current basketball season. And trust me, I would not have been here as long as I have been here if it hadn't been for my family. I had two kids that graduated here, Michael and Catherine. But Anne's a big basketball fan. She loves basketball over and above all other sports. And she's been here for a lot of things that have taken place here at Christ Church. So thank you, Ann, for putting up with that for all these years. I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame committee for this induction. It's very nice, and I appreciate it greatly. I'd like to thank Billy Cole for his continued vision and support for the school. In fact, we talked before we came in. I really show my age of how long I've been here, because when I started here, it was strictly a boarding school. There was no women or girls here, and there was very little, if any, foreign exchange students. So the vision of Christ Church and what has happened over the years has been really great to see, and the accomplishment of everybody involved with that. I'd also like to thank Mr. Gallagher. I've known him for many years as well. He made this whole process very seamless and painless. And in fact, I told him the other day, I like to be around people that have their act together and do what they're supposed to do. And Huntley has done that all these years, and it's been a pleasure to work with you here as well. Thank you very much. I thought it might be interesting just to talk a little bit about when I first came here. When I was in college at business school at VCU, I spent a lot of time in the education department. And the reason for that was I was pretty clear with both sides, the education department and the business school. I wanted to be in business, but I wanted to coach. And how did I do that? And all of them said the same thing. What you want to do is not unheard of. It might be difficult, but you have to find the right fit of what that is. And I certainly found the right fit. I had to have to be able to coach, I had to be able to work a full-time business job and then find a way to work in being able to coach. And Mr. Butch Keller made that possible for me, and thank you very much for being here today. Butch and I played on a recreational softball league, and at the time, there was a men's group that came and played basketball, so him and I had an opportunity to do both of those together, and somewhere in that exchange, he said, hey, I'm looking for an assistant coach, and I think you fit the bill, and would you be interested? And that's how I got started with Christ Church. You have to understand, though, with him asking me that was way outside the realms of how things were done. If you didn't work at a school and coach at a school or was teaching something, chances are you weren't going to be in the athletic program coaching. It's just the way it was. And it's funny, 35, 36, 37 odd years from now, there's no county, at that time, there was no county that had extra people that came in and worked with the program. You either had to be a teacher in there to be able to coach. And nowadays, if you stay around long enough, that pendulum kind of goes around and changes. Nowadays, there's no county in the 7 counties that we're close to here that don't have extra people that come in and help with their athletic programs. So that's been a big change from when so I don't know what strings Butch pulled at the time. We did have Mr. Phipps here, and he was interested in development of sports and whatever that pertained to. So Butch found a way to make it happen, and consequently, we coached together and had a very successful run, matter of fact. And our goal was, at the time, Christ Church had some legendary people that had played for them. But our goal was to put the Christ Church name particularly in the Tidewater region, in the Richmond region, DC, and Maryland. We wanted the name to be out there that Christ Church also had a pretty damn good basketball program. And that's what we decided to do, and we ran at that pretty hard. It was not unheard of, or at the time, there was going to be no surprise because both Butch and I are both highly, highly, highly competitive. And we don't like to lose, which, by the way, that's one of my sayings to teams over time, which is, wanting to win is one thing. Hating to lose is a whole different animal. And if you got some guys on your team that absolutely hate to lose, you can be very successful. And we proved that. I'd like to just say a yell out to the Puerto Rican Nightmare, which is here today. We ran that for quite a few years as well. He's probably the longest person, at least for my group, that has come here. Thank you very much, Eric and your daughter, for being here today. But anyway, it's been a great run. I've enjoyed every minute of it. It's just all about timing, and my timing and with Butch Keller really turned out well. And we ran at it pretty hard and accomplished some great things. Also, just bad to mention, I was joking with a Middlesex High School former player. He's about the same age as me, played for Middlesex High School, and I know all of the top players over probably 6 or 7 counties that were impact players in the counties close to us. And I asked him a question. I said, and I already knew the answer, but I wanted to see what he has as a former player and is very active with the Middlesex High School program. I said, who is the best players that ever came out of Middlesex? the answer, but I wanted to hear his vantage point. And he named, I think, 3 out of the, we both had the same 3. He had one different than me on the 4th pick. But it was a very small number, as it is with all of the schools here that are surrounded in 7 counties. Very limited on the number of players that were really big-time impact players. And he then said to me, who's the best player to ever play at Christ Church? And I got laughing a little bit, and I said, well, you'll have to narrow it down more for me to be able to give you that name. And he had a puzzled look on his face, and I said, if you tell me point guard, wing guard, shooting guard, power forward, or center, I can narrow it down with those groups, because I have seen a tremendous amount of, and I don't think I would have been able to have that anywhere else, but Christ Church has put out some of the best players in this area, and it's a much bigger number than most all the other counties that would have quality athletes. And I've seen a lot of quality athletes, and like I said, from picking the best player that's ever played here, that would be a little bit difficult. I couldn't pick one. I could pick a particular point guard, wing guard, shooting guard, power forward, or center, but that's how many that I've been able to see in my time here. Numerous players. I've had the opportunity to coach Division 1, 2, and 3 players here. 7 counties here might have had one out of all of those that played significant basketball at the next level. I have had the opportunity, Christ Church has given me the opportunity to have so many friends and people out there, including former players that I've coached. It really has been a joy for me and an honor. And I've been able to see and coach and build relationships with people that otherwise, any other place, the chances of that happening would have been very limited, for sure. Anyway, back to Coach Keller just for a minute. We had a vision on how basketball should be played. I've had several times, after he left, I've had several people, including Ed Homer at his stint as an athletic director, say, hey, we want you to stay on with the program, or we want you to do this with new head coach. And my comment's always been, let me meet him first, and then I'll tell you if I'm just going to stay. So that kind of sends a message, too, that I've been here so long that their vision of basketball, the school's vision of basketball, has been spot on. At the time when Butch came in, we wanted to ramp up the fact that we wanted an up-tempo game. So that being said, Coach Keller and myself both like Carolina basketball. Up-tempo and play defense. And if we can't get the ball fast enough, we'll pressure you to get the ball back. And that was kind of the message that we wanted to send out there, that you better have 10 players if you come and play us, because we're going to play 10, and we're going to crank up the temperature in the gym to about 150 degrees. That's an old Duke trick, by the way. And we're going to make it as hot as you can, because in the fourth quarter, if you're not used to playing 10 guys, and if you're not used to running, you're going to hit the wall. And that happened a lot of times with our program, for sure. And we've continued to have an up-tempo type of basketball team and believe in defense here. And so it's been very easy for me to stay around as long as I have, because of the way that the game is played here, what we want to do and what we want to develop on kids, on what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. And every coach that has come here from college that has looked at particular players over time, one of the things they do not ask is, and they ask it, believe me, but they don't typically ask, here's one of their big questions, can he do the work here? They already know, coming from Christ Church, that they can do the academic level of what's going on. And of course, you know, kids get caught up on statistics and how many points you score and all of this. But the next two questions they ask is the kid coachable? And how does he get along with the rest of his team? And most of the college players that have gone and played, they have proved that as to coming from Christ Church and what they've been involved here academically and how they were coached. I had a kid that called me a couple of years ago and he said, Coach, I called you just to thank you. I said, okay, I don't get many calls for thank yous, but thank you. What you got to say to me? And he said, and the kid said, we were coached hard. You and the coaches that they were involved with. He said, you guys coached us hard about a lot of things. Not only basketball, but your temperament and how you act, etc., etc. And he said, we had 6 freshmen that came out for the college team, and only 2 of us made it. The other 4 or 5 said, I can't do this anymore, and they quit. And the reason they quit was they hadn't been coached hard. If you play basketball at Christ Church, you get coached hard. We're fair about how we coach you, but there are things that we expect, and if you don't fall into place on that, then we let you learn that the hard way. But anyway, it's been a pleasure to be here today. Thank you very much for the honor, and I'll see you on the floor somewhere.
Congratulations, Don. I certainly enjoyed hearing all of those amazing speeches, and once again, congratulations to all of the new inducted members of Christ Church Hall of Fame. You are truly so deserving of these honors. Now I'm going to turn it back over to Doug.
Thank you. That was incredible. If you haven't attended Christ Church School or you didn't graduate from here, this is your first day here, you can't help but beam with Seahorse pride today listening to those 3 inductees. That was incredible, and thank you for those giving those speeches. That was incredible for Mark, for Matt, and for Don. And a thank you to Erica, to the Hall of Fame committee, and to our newest members of the Hall of Fame. But one last acknowledgement I want to give you. When we started this, I told you Huntley Gallagher is in his 41st year at Christ Church School. This doesn't happen without Huntley Gallagher, and it's a little emotional to say this is Huntley's last year. He is going to retire at the end of the year this year. It's going to be hard to pull this off without him, but a huge acknowledgement to everything Huntley's done. Mark made a funny comment. We'll take a poll of how long we think Huntley can stay away. So what Mark doesn't know is I'm not letting him get away. He's going to stay close for sure. So thank you all. Homecoming is a time to come home. Please take time today to walk around the campus, visit our buildings, reminisce about Christ Church, because this is your home. And we look forward to seeing you all on the football field later on shortly. We'll have a special recognition at halftime for our inductees. And let's go, church. Thank you all.